All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming, and we're excited to see so many manufacturers here in the room, at least I am. My program, as Libby mentioned, works directly with the manufacturers. We offer technical assistance in 4 main areas: succession planning, access to capital, business planning, and then also cybersecurity. We've been working with Dr. Newman to provide cybersecurity training for manufacturers for the last almost a year now here in Southern California. So if you're interested in any of those buckets, please let me know. I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more about that. But today I'm up here to talk to you about a program that's being offered by the state, which is a statewide initiative to address manufacturing issues, and specifically within cybersecurity. At your tables, you have a flyer that looks like this. And this flyer is an invitation to participate in a survey. And what they're doing right now is trying to get manufacturers to take an anonymous survey to share with them where you are with regard to the state of readiness for cybersecurity. The state is working with the Department of Defense to fund an initiative to not only provide additional training and support, but also to get a real clear picture of where we are as an industry. So again, it's this flyer, it's on your desk. If you have the I think it's QWERTY code thing that you can take a picture of. It'll take you right to the website. Otherwise, the information is on the flyer. Take it on. It's an online survey that should only take you a few minutes to complete.
We are ready for our afternoon panel on workforce. One other thing that I want to make you aware of is during the lunch break on all of your tables, you should have a contact list for all of the registrants who are here today. Because I know, as diligent as you have been with your networking, you might not have been able to reach everybody you wanted to. So in front of you, you've got a list of everyone who has RSVP'd, whether they came here or showed up at the door or not, along with their contact information, at least their email and their phone number if they allowed us to share it. If not, I'm sure you can Google it and find them. And we want to make sure you have that because we want to encourage the continuation of the networking and the conversations that we've had here today. Okay, so with that said, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator for the workforce panel, Miss Julianna.
I'm Julianna Kirby. I'm Director of Client Services and Chief Operating Officer of Training Funding Partners. With us here today on the panel is Linda Kurokawa, Executive Director of Community Education and Workforce Development with Mira Costa College down in San Diego. Joel Morgan, welcome in, Regional Director, Goodwill, Southern California. And last but not least, David Fisher, President of S&H Machine. So today we're going to go through a few slide presentations, each of our own, and then we'll open it up for questions. So just a little bit about Training Funding Partners. You can obviously read the slide for yourself. We are a workforce development consulting practice, and we help companies access resources that are available for workforce development in all areas. We've accessed and managed over $173 million of grant funds over our 20+ years of doing this. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the career pathway programs that we're involved in. So you hear a lot about the different kinds of funding that is available in your region. There's definitely cash and non-cash resources already at work in your region from a variety of sources that you see here, and they're all focused on meeting employer needs. So, you know, when you are talking to a workforce intermediary, such as myself or Goodwill or a community college or any kind of partner that's coming to you to try to meet your needs, we really are asking you to engage with us. What we do needs to be employer driven. We're asking you maybe to provide a work-based learning opportunity. It's all so that we can help develop the pipeline for you. What we do if it's employer driven is much more successful when we're applying for grants and bringing dollars into the area. You hear a lot of talk about talent pipelines, and we all work on helping develop the pipeline for you, the employer. You hear a lot about high school to work, you know, high school to college, college into work, and of course hiring that experienced hire. But we also are very focused on veterans and underserved populations, focusing on getting women into manufacturing. But when we go out there, a lot of times what I hear is, can you just find someone who knows how to come to work on time? I mean, how hard is it? So I hear you, and we all are trying to address that with some of the programs and skills that, you know, our programs seek to provide. So one of the hot career pathway programs that you hear about now is apprenticeship. And 2-3 years ago, we started talking about apprenticeship in this area, and a lot of the employers that we work with didn't want to hear about it. I didn't really even want to talk about it. It didn't sound very exciting to me, but it's different now. It's innovative, it is flexible, and so the DOL and California Division of Apprenticeship Standards have really come a long way just in the last couple of years. So I wanted to just explain to you how this pipeline works. So in pre-apprenticeship, which is a really great flexible way to develop not only the pipeline, but your incumbent existing workforce as well can participate in pre-apprenticeship. It is not registered with the Department of Labor. Nobody comes in and onto your shop and looks at anything, but it's a really flexible way to help get skills out into the pipeline, skills out into your existing workforce. What we've done, and I'll explain in a moment, is a program called AeroFlex that really wraps the skills requirements that employers told us they were missing in the pipeline around high school internships, community college, and 4-year university interns. But we also have employers today using pre-apprenticeship for their incumbent workers. The next step on that pathway would be an apprenticeship, a registered apprenticeship, and the Department of Labor is coming out with a new concept called industry recognized apprenticeship. But again, this is a way for you to think about not only people that you want to hire in, but existing incumbent workers and develop them the way you want to develop them. It really can be customized to the way you need to do things. And there's funding, big funding coming down from California, and a huge grant application is underway right now to bring federal dollars into the region to further fund apprenticeship. But I urge you, when you think about apprenticeship, don't just think about the pipeline and bringing new people in. Think about your existing workforce, and think about that, we're all facing that concept of the retirees and what's going to happen to the brain drain and to that knowledge that's going to leave. Apprenticeship can be used as well. We can develop something custom to help transfer that knowledge to others in your workforce as your retirees are leaving. Apprenticeship is a really great model to do that as well. That can help fund that training activity. Of course, the end goal in that pipeline is full-time work for the worker and a dedicated employee for you, the employer. I mean, that's our goal here, is that we want to build a thriving pipeline, and we want to have you with a dedicated workforce. So, I would urge you to, invest the time to work with the partners in your area, provide those work-based learning opportunities to those high schoolers or college students, or, just, engage and see what's available in your area. This is the program, one of the career pathway programs that I'm involved in with the South Bay Workforce Investment Board and West LA College, and AMP SoCal actually was our first supporter, funding source to help us develop this framework, which is a pre-apprenticeship with a 3-track model. Very flexible. Every employer that's used it so far has flexed it in a different way from the other employer, but it addresses the soft skills areas that employers told us were missing from the pipeline. This is employer driven. They're missing that come to work on time, those professionalism skills, adaptability, communication, teamwork. They needed to see that. They also wanted to augment the technical skills training. So in this particular program, we brought in Tooling USME as a partner, and we mapped some competencies that employers thought were important to some training that Tooling USME offers online, and every employer is offered the opportunity to, again, flex that in any way that they need to, and they are big time flexing that and creating their own custom training plans there. So this is combined with a work-based learning opportunity, whatever that might be. We don't want to change what you're doing, we want to bring value to what you're doing. So if you have something that's working today, great, let's add some value to it, add some skills to that, add some credentials for the participant. If you don't have anything going and you'd like to get something going, we've done that too. It provides marketable skills, stackable credentials, and in this model, a $500 stipend to the participant who completes all 3 tracks as designed by you, the employer. This is currently grant funded, so there's no cost to the employer to participate in this. We're developing multiple tracks for different manufacturing occupations. All of it is grant funded, the training, the stipend, everything. So it's a great model that's getting a lot of traction and is expanding currently to the state of Florida. They had a lot of great interest in that. Again, staying on that same career path model, we talked about pre-apprenticeship. It does, to be quality pre-apprenticeship, linked to a registered apprenticeship. So what the AeroFlex team did, which is now a group of 11 employers in the industry. S&H Machine is one of those, and several others here today. We developed the first of its kind in the nation registered apprenticeship that requires a bachelor's degree. It's an engineering discipline, and the employer said, hey, in order to be an aerospace engineer, you still have to have the degree. There's no way around that. So we did work that in, and it's flexible. So prior degree work could count towards the apprenticeship work, and vice versa. The apprenticeship work can count towards degree work. It's currently funded in LA County, and we are applying for the DOL grant to bring funds not only into the region, but it will be a national grant. So if you happen to have locations outside of California, we can help with that as well. This again is an employer-driven program. The national sponsor that we registered with nationally is Tooling USME. They are providing online training towards this in the RTI, the technical instruction component, and West LA College is the education partner, and they are developing credit options. So again, the college credit works both ways in this apprenticeship. And it's customizable. We registered it as a hybrid program so an employer can use it any way they want to. A new grad hire, an incumbent worker, a veteran coming in that has some prior experience, someone who maybe has been on the shop floor but wants to go back for their engineering degree. We wanted it to be open to all on-ramps and all audiences. And so the employer can select, is it a 1-year program or a 2-year program? And everything is really customized employer by employer for that. We partner with the Strong Workforce Apprenticeship Group as well when it comes to pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship. So you can see in manufacturing occupations, the Strong Workforce Apprenticeship Group, which is out of College of the Canyons and partnered with Goodwill of Southern California, they've developed and have registered apprenticeships already in these occupations. We at Aeroflex partnered with them and have developed pre-apprenticeship tracks, as you can see, so aligned. We're trying to create that pathway for someone who's interested in those roles. And they could take any of the pre-apprenticeship tracks and go into a different apprenticeship, but their learning in the pre-apprenticeship will give them credit into the apprenticeship, so it'll shorten their apprenticeship time. And you can see on the engineering side that it's Aeroflex on both sides of that pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship, and we're going to be expanding that into other engineering roles as well. Aeroflex is one of the main partners in that, as I mentioned, is the South Bay Workforce Investment Board. They have some great programs available as well in the region. South Bay Accelerator is a business management training program that's geared towards, the small manufacturer, the small business owner and their top team to help get in there and really plan out where you're at and break through some barriers to growth. And so we are seeking funding to keep that going as well. A new funding source just arrived in the region from the Employment Training Panel. The South Bay WIB has an ETP contract that is available to large and small employers. It's really a statewide program. They'd like to have an LA County focus, but we realize that employers have more than one location. And what we did here is we included OJT training. We know that small manufacturing employers, sometimes the only way you can do training is on the job. So we do have reimbursement available for that as well in this project. So I've talked about I've thrown out a lot of words. You hear a lot of words when you're thinking about workforce and you're talking to people in the workforce system, your community college or whatever it is. You hear workforce, you hear apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship, swag, Aeroflex, you hear all kinds of things. But really all we want to do, those of us that work in the workforce system and intermediaries and your college partners, is we want to start with what are your needs. So think about what it is you need. Don't get hung up on what's available and what's out there. What do you need? There may be something available to meet your needs. We may need to build something to meet your needs. We're not afraid to do that. So if you don't know where to start, AMP SoCal, think of them as your hub. They can certainly connect you to partners in your region, in your area that are doing the things that you need help with. So with that, I will turn it over to Linda.
So what I'm hoping to do today is kind of change a paradigm, because colleges, community colleges, universities, private, public, have a reputation, and it's not always a great reputation. Inflexibility, long-standing, long-suffering, isn't necessarily adaptable to what industry needs. And so today I'm hoping to help you understand that some of the community colleges, and more if I have my say about it, are trying to make a big shift in the way we view and handle the needs of our industry, because if it weren't for the industry, why would we even exist, right? So I'm the Executive Director for Community Education and Workforce Development and the Technology Career Institute in North San Diego for Mira Costa College, and that is really extended studies, so easy.
We all know the mantra, pay your dues and graduate from college, and you'll enjoy a successful career. So for some, the goal is a bachelor's degree. For others, it's a master's or advanced degree. There's an unspoken belief that the job market is just waiting for hordes of ambitious, eager young graduates to slide into high-paying jobs in the corner office. But statistics tell a different story. How is it possible that both college graduates and unfilled job openings are both at record-breaking highs? That seems very counterintuitive, but recently, 1 in 4 employers have experienced losses in revenue as a result of not being able to fill those positions. They simply can't find applicants with the necessary skills required in today's workplace. This is known as the skills gap. In fact, 33% of university graduates hold jobs that do not require a degree. These underemployed workers have learned a very expensive lesson. You must have the technical and employable skills industry requires in order to compete for jobs within your chosen career. With rising education costs, mounting student debt, fierce competition for jobs, and the oversaturation of some academic majors in the workforce, sadly, many have begun to question the value of a college degree. Formal education is very important, but not every degree is direct preparation for employment. Students and institutions are beginning to understand what employers have known all along, that a degree is one important milestone, but insufficient all on its own. The acquisition of skills that match today's job requirements are replacing the degree as the ticket to a self-sufficient future. So how do we shift from being degree-focused to skills-focused? First, we need a paradigm shift of choosing a career before choosing a college. We should no longer ask high school students, "What college do you want to attend?" or "What will be your major?" Instead, we should help a young person by asking them, "What career do you want to enter into?" followed by, "What skills do you need to acquire?" Only after students choose a broad career focus by working through a comprehensive and meaningful guidance process will they then be able to select the right post-secondary option for them. Next, the planning process continues by developing a skills-based education plan. This sounds easy enough, but it's a revolutionary approach. Our high schools and colleges must shift their focus from simply degree acquisition by taking a prescribed series of courses to promoting skills acquisition through varied learning opportunities. And not just any skills, but the skills that match those required for the chosen career path of the individual. A skills-based education plan illustrates that not all skills can be obtained inside a classroom, and it develops the habit of continuously identifying new skills in order to remain employable. In most fields, students will continue to seek formal degrees, but we also now have access to a growing range of flexible learning alternatives, such as online courses, reading books by top experts, and video tutorials. Here's one example. If your career plan includes holding a political office, you might want to run for mayor of your city. The traditional path would be to focus on specific courses to earn a college degree in political science, with a possible minor in communication. But does a high GPA mean you would be qualified to be the mayor? Of course not. The degree itself is important, but insufficient. Rather than approaching the question in the context of a traditional education plan, start by thinking about the skills one would need to become a successful elected official. One might need to learn public speaking and how to talk on camera through a Toastmasters program, and understand government budgeting by interning for a city council member. Gaining experience in social branding would be helpful, and that could be achieved through a marketing class at the community college. Managing volunteers door to door, collecting voter registrations would also be valuable experience. It would also be important to learn how to write solicitation letters and understand how to persuade others into action. So in addition to a traditional writing course, you might plan to volunteer for a charitable organization's fundraising campaign. Certainly the most successful politicians are not always the most academically knowledgeable. The most successful are those who have figured out how to hone multiple skills obtained in a variety of ways. We can take that same approach and apply it to all careers. There are many benefits to adopting skills-based education plans within our institutions. Counselors can become architects of human development rather than simply schedulers of classes. When liberal arts instructors connect the transferable skills taught in the real world, their courses become more relevant and therefore motivating, and students will graduate with the skills necessary to compete in today's job market, improving both the college's reputation and enrollments. A skills-based education plan, unique to the award-winning Get Focused, Stay Focused initiative, is necessary for anyone who wants to avoid the pitfalls of unemployment or underemployment after graduation. It puts a student's future in focus towards gaining the skills, aptitudes, and attitudes necessary to be competitive in today's job market. To learn more about effective student success programs and research, visit Get Focused, Stay Focused at getfocusedstayfocused.org.
This is not news to those of you who are in industry, but it is a deviation from academic for all for the sake of academics mentality that you often find at universities and community colleges. And so for Mira Costa College, with the leadership of first Dr. Rodriguez, who is the chancellor for the LA Community College District, and now Dr. Sunny Cook, and my desire to make sure that the 30 to 40% of those high school graduates who do not want to go directly on to college, or who simply are not in that mindset, and then the other 30 to 40% who start college and then drop out, my passion is to make sure that they have a vehicle for getting wonderful careers and filling the jobs that exist out there with skills-based and focused education. So success in this new economy means adapting to those types of careers, and through skills training, and by combining education with skills training. And I think it's exciting to see that colleges are starting to make that shift. And I tell you, it's going to be, you got to be patient, because we've had a long history of not focusing on that. I'm seeing heads nod because that's so true. So therein lies the creation of the Mira Costa Technology Career Institute, located in Carlsbad, California. So we were approached 5 or 6 years ago by industry to create a machinist program, and that's how we really got launched. They needed the machinist program in a hurry, so phase 1 was to complete that. Phase 2 is to create a training center that was larger, adding more machines and more programs for not only new career track participants, but incumbent workers. And then phase 3, I'm extended studies. That means I'm self-sufficient. That means I run a business on an academic campus with all the rules. So it's a little bit like running a business with your hands tied behind your back. But it does give me some flexibility and some avenues that are not available to a regular business. And one of those is to be able to write grants that allow our students to, in this case, they are going to our training programs tuition free. And I'll continue to write those types of grants until we become self-sustaining. And I do have a self-sustaining plan. So what is TCI? TCI is the hub in North County for where industry can find their talent pipeline and have motivated, innovative workers. It's a place where high school students, veterans, unemployed, women, those who have challenges for employment can find an education that's both fits their needs and gets them into jobs quickly. We always say our motto is get them in, get them trained, get them jobs. So what's the difference? We include a job readiness component that's huge because industry asked us to. They're accelerated programs because industry asked us to. They're very focused on just the subject matter at hand and what is needed, and created by industry with us in partnership because industry asked us to. So they're very broad-based. Students learn to think critically. They get leadership training. They get lean training, OSHA training. We have creative collaborations between high schools, the community colleges, universities, even our local city governments, and of course our industries. And we have apprenticeships programs, on-the-job training, and internships. These are not for credit. And the reason we were able to do that is because we're extended studies and because the students who take our programs need the skills more than they need the credit. And industry needs those people. And they're not worried about college credit. They are worried about skill base, what they know and what they can do. So these programs are designed for high school graduates, for employees who wish to increase their skills and uplift where they are and continue on that ladder, or for people who want to change their careers. And we know that the younger generation and even our generations are starting to change their careers multiple times. And that's another good reason for accelerated focus skills, because we change our minds and our skills. We need something where we may already have a degree or other certifications or even a master's or doctorate, and we find out 10 years, 15 years, we want to do something else. And so our programs are also for those, and for those who aren't even sure. So what do we have at TCI? We have an engineering technician program. And if you would, this is a really short video.
The Technology Career Institute is this amazing facility that's located in Carlsbad. It's really Mira Costa College's best offerings for short-term accelerated training to put people into high-skill, high-wage, high-demand jobs that are exciting and provide lots of opportunity for folks. The engineering tech program involves automation and robotics and electronics and mechanical aspects. The machinist program is really designed for people that want to build and assemble things that are involved in manufacturing of all sorts.
I already have a job lined up, and it's so exciting because my employer is just more excited for me to come back to work and to put everything that I've learned into the projects that we have coming up.
So there's our machinist technology program. That's our lab. We also have other advanced manufacturing courses, blueprint reading, electronic assembly, SolidWorks, welding program, biomedical equipment technician, our new ROV drone technician program. They learn both over the water and under the water automated technology. We start our first craft brewing technician program. San Diego is one of the capitals of craft brewing. And we also offer employee training. We have industry and college partnerships where technology is so necessary and so accelerated that we as colleges have got to come up with a different way, and this is one of those ways in which we can be adaptive and flexible and responsive to industry needs. So these are some of the companies we work with in San Diego. And so we've had some of these successes that you can read. This new type of internship is one where our engineering students are able to listen to industry who come and present to them and offer them the opportunity to work a few weeks on a back burner project that is not getting done. Our students attack it in groups of 2 and 3, 4 or 5 or 6 projects, and they hand back a completed project to an industry. These are go-to-market products. So the next step for TCI is TCI 2, and we're going to be purchasing a new facility with a private donations. It'll be about 3 times the size of our 22,000 square foot now, so it'll be 60 to 70,000 square feet, and it'll include both a combination of new startups and incubators with our work skills training for a private-public partnership that will give us sustainability in the future. So this is the new age for community colleges. Not every community college is doing it, but we do get it. And so I just wanted to give you that happy news and share with what we're doing up in North San Diego.
My name is Joel Morgan. I'm a regional director with Goodwill, Southern California. Kind of a unique position that we're in, being Goodwill. When I say Goodwill, what do the majority of you think of? Stores, that's right, retail operations. That obviously is a large component of what Goodwill does, but if many of you weren't aware, actually, the main mission and thrust of what we do at Goodwill is actually employment-based. So it's about putting people back to work. So the retail operation actually helps fund the real mission of our work, which is getting people back to work, and that's through training, partnerships, working with groups like you're hearing about today. So I want to talk about some of the best practices, and you teed it up beautifully with regards to what I'm going to talk about, because the passion, well, let me kind of give a little backstory about myself and kind of how I came to be with Goodwill. So I actually come from education. I was actually a campus president for a small local junior college, and I transitioned out of that into the nonprofit world about 4 years ago. But I took with me that passion, that drive of educating and working with individuals and trying to figure out how we can marry the workforce with education, because it's a constant battle. And so with some of these best practices, what I found is a lot more flexibility once I exited the educational realm. It's very difficult at times. And I'm the person in between, kind of holding and pulling and binding these two groups together. But when you have those two parties that come together, you can do some wonderful and beautiful things. And so let's kind of talk about that. The first and probably the most successful, not probably, it is the most successful program I've ever seen. Not just here locally, but on a national level. And I've talked about it in DC and been across the country talking about this program. And this model has now been replicated. And it's our aircraft fabrication program. And I'm pleased to see Northrop Grumman here today. They are one of the parent sponsors of that program. The reason for this, and the reason for any educational shift, should always be driven by market. And so in this case, it's no different. The market dictated that there was a huge need for aircraft assembly, engineering, and design. Northrop secured a very large aerospace contract to build new bombers, and as such, there was a need for a lot of skilled workers. Now in Southern California, we're talking about a skills gap of probably 3,000 to 4,000 on the low end, upwards of 5,000 to 6,000 individuals in a very short period of time to build aircraft. We don't have that type of talent just laying around looking for employment. And so it created a very large problem. Thankfully, the powers that be, we all got together, sat down and crafted and created a program called the Aircraft Fabrication Program. It is a 4-credit program. We partnered with Antelope Valley College, which is Palmdale, Lancaster area in North Los Angeles County. And what we ended up doing is creating a 23-unit program. So it is credit-based. When it initially started out, it was 16 weeks, which that's still pretty aggressive, 23 units in 16 weeks. And it's now, believe it or not, down to 8 weeks. Some of the classes and coursework that's being taught, there's 4 different classes: blueprint, aircraft structures, composites, as well as an aerospace ethics class. And by no means do we think, or we misunderstanding, that students that go through these classes aren't immediately going to be out there touching multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment building aircraft. But what we got was a commitment from the employer that if we created a pipeline of individuals that showed aptitude and showed the ability to learn these disciplines, they would bring them on and then put them through their programs and processes. Northrop in the past had been doing a lot of this on their own. And what they found is, and they raised their hand and said, we're not educators. That's not our forte. The retention was poor, and the program didn't function well. So with the creation of this program, we married the political world within the local cities up there, workforce development, Goodwill, as well as education, and hence the creation of this program. So again, just a little more detail with regards to what's being taught. This is pretty in-depth stuff. I've been in those classes. In fact, I've been through it enough. I think I could probably build an airplane besides being a paper airplane. I think I could actually probably do it. It's engaging. It's hands-on. But again, it's more geared towards aptitude. So when we're pre-screening for individuals to go through these programs, we're looking at their ability to learn and grow, not necessarily what they've done. It's a complete polar opposite shift from what you typically see from employers. They always want the experience, okay? aircraft structures. We can get into the nuts and bolts on this. I don't really need to. Okay, but again, it's very in depth. There's two different disciplines. Either they're working with what we call drill and fill. They're assembling, bending, fabricating metals, or they're working with composites, different resins and materials that make up the outer structure of the plane. And here's some of the class pictures of what they're doing. The individuals that go through these classes are just average people like you and me. We've had single mothers go through this. We've had 18, 19-year-olds graduating from high school immediately jumping into this program. We've had mature workers go through this program. I want to say the most mature worker we've had go through that successfully completed and got hired was 67 years old. Northrop, to their credit, and many of the other employers have held true to the fact that it's about aptitude. It has nothing to do with past experience. That 67-year-old sold real estate for 32 years and shifted out of that field, obviously, during some pretty tumultuous times here in California. Let's talk about the success of that program. These numbers, how many educators are in the room, by the way? I 100% vouch, these are 100% accurate. It's going to blow your mind. Again, I come from that world. Typically, the harder you push students, the less retention you're going to see. That's just normal attrition. What's really weird about this program is the harder we push them, the more they stay. And the reason being is the carrot at the end. So because this program was developed and there's employment tied to the back end, it's not guaranteed, it's still performance-based. Because of that incentive, people push through it. And I do think that the pre-screening that we do on the front end with regards to background, we do check aptitude in math and reading, helps to really make sure that the student can handle the rigor and pace of the class. But what I really want to focus in on, again, we've been doing this about 2.5 years. Total amount of people served is 743 students, of which 425 have successfully gone through the training program and gotten placed, okay? That is incredible. 94% of the individuals that go through this program are now gainfully employed. I've never seen anything like it. It far exceeds anything I've ever seen. And folks, this is not entry-level type wage. These are livable wages these individuals are earning in an aerospace industry with companies that are stable, strong, Fortune 500 companies, okay? It is a wonderful thing. You can see some of the other stats and figures. What I'm really pleased to see is the females that are going through this and finding employment is ever increasing. I have a pipeline super strong for this program. I don't have to advertise for it, over 1,000 deep waiting to get in. And we seat, they've just increased our seat allotment, but we're seating about 100 to 120 students every semester. The only problem we have now is actually, it's not, they're hiring them that fast, literally, at this point. We're running out of space. Composite labs don't grow on trees. They're not easy to find. And in fact, it created a positive problem where we actually reached down into the local high schools and created articulation agreements, and the high schools are now teaching some of these courses to the seniors. They're receiving college credit to fast track them into the program. And then my sneaky little plan was we use the college classrooms at night, so it expanded our adult program too. So it gives us both. And that's just one program. Another program, and I'm actually pleased to see him here, Mr. Ivan, is the Uniquely Abled program. This is another, when you hear these programs, what I want you to think of is creativity. You took commerce and education, and we found a way to blend it together to meet the demands, and everybody wins. And in this case, there's a new program that we've partnered with out at College of the Canyons. It's called the Uniquely Abled program. Again, it's working with, and Goodwill does this quite a bit, we look and work with diverse populations. In this case, research was done, and we decided to partner because we were looking at high-functioning autistic individuals, which typically find it very difficult to connect into the workforce. And so we looked at different types of employment opportunities or skill sets that would fit their unique abilities. In this case, Ivan came up with and successfully produced a program that put them into CNC programming, okay? At first, I have to tell you, I've talked to different employers and they thought this is not a good idea. You can't take individuals with some of those barriers and put them into a manufacturing environment. It won't work. I'm here to tell you, hooey. It works. And not only does it work beautifully. We've now successfully at College of the Canyons put through 2 cohorts of students that have gone through an 87% placement rate. And oh, FYI, by the way, probably in the next 2 weeks, it will be at 100%. These individuals have interviews set up, and we feel very confident that this is going to happen. Now, why is this program successful? Is it because companies are looking to be charitable with regards to this population? Absolutely not. It has everything to do with these individuals are highly skilled, and they actually perform better than individuals that don't have some of their unique abilities. It's a wonderful, wonderful program. And again, this is a program, this one is actually not for credit. So we have the ability to blend and create based upon the needs of local employers. All right? But I will tell you, we are in the process of working with the credit side of the house to be able to transition that badge or certificate into credit as they move forward for a stackable credential. Last one, you've already heard about SWAG. I love their name. That's a wonderful name. In the picture there, you'll see Jeffrey Forrest and Tracy DeFilippis. Tracy works with Goodwill. She's our kind of lead when it comes to apprenticeships. Jeff Forrest out at College of the Canyons is just a champion. And I'm actually surprised he's not here today. Absolute champion when it comes to apprenticeships. And they're really leading the way in the region. And so we have a lot of apprenticeships that have been going on. We've been very active for the last 2 years, reaching out into local communities, educating employers. We currently have a total of 17 businesses that have signed on, and we are currently now in the process of either creating or already placed apprentices in their locations. Apprenticeship is the way we used to do business, and I don't know why we got away from it. We shifted away from it. We need to get back to that line of educating and training individuals. And it's very successful. It is the most efficient way to transfer knowledge from one generation base to another. And so that's a very successful program we've been doing in both manufacturing, machining, aerospace, as well as logistics. I could go on and on literally for hours with regards to customized training programs. When I say customized, it's truly customized. I will tell you, the one thing that we learned from that aircraft fabrication program was the secret sauce. We learned how the template with which to combine and take educators and business and put them together. You can change the curriculum, you can change the sector, the blueprint works. And we've done this with AMS Fulfillment, which is a logistics operation, Proterra, which is a manufacturer of electrical buses. They came to the local region out here and needed to hire uniquely trained individuals. We created a customized training program with Mount SAC that was very flexible, that the employer actually had almost complete autonomy with regards to assisting in creating the curriculum. And we produced the workflow that they were looking for. And oh, FYI, with regards to all of these training programs, almost completely 100% subsidized or paid for with either grant funding through workforce dollars or through partnerships with Department of Rehabilitation or other community groups. So the expense is either eliminated or very minimal with regards to the output to the student. And yet they're able to graduate and attain full-time employment in a livable field. I actually am a resident out in Antelope Valley. And so I can tell you what I've seen, what has happened to that community in the last 2.5 years. For those of you that, how many of you actually visited Antelope Valley in the last year? I'm actually stunned. All right. Not too many people make it up that way. That community has changed quite a bit and continues to change. And I'm telling you why. The economy is changing up there because the jobs are changing. I run contracts for all of LA County with regards to Goodwill. And I can tell you, Santa Clarita, which is also pretty close in proximity to Antelope Valley, is now having a huge struggle with regards to employment because a lot of the individuals that were driving from the Antelope Valley to jobs in Santa Clarita are no longer doing it. You know why? They're making more money staying at home because the jobs are right there at home, okay? A lot of these programs have to do with it. So it's very exciting. And if I could inspire you to think of anything with regards to my little spiel here, is that if you can think it and you have the ability and desire to create it, we have a space to do it. Legislation is such right now, and partnerships are in place now to where that flexibility is making a lot of these programs that couldn't have existed years ago a reality. So thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. I'm David Fisher, president of S&H Machine. And I was asked to come today to kind of give you the small business employer perspective on the matter. So S&H operates out of 2 locations in Southern California, in Burbank and the city of South El Monte. We are an aerospace manufacturer with 66 CNC machines and 87 employees, under 47,000 square feet of facility. And we've been doing that since 1960. These are some examples of the type of complex parts that we produce for the aerospace industry. We are considered a tier 2 supplier, so our parts go to customers like Eaton and Parker and Woodward, for example. We produce about 100,000 piece parts a year of that complexity. And you know, one of the things I wanted to talk about when we talk about skills gap and the need is that while we have this skills gap issue, at the same time our customers continue to raise the bar, and their expectations for quality, on-time delivery, with declining pricing and lead times being reduced, has put a lot of well, it's a real challenge for small businesses to be able to continue to optimize and improve and innovate to stay competitive, while at the same time there is a tremendous problem with talent that are retiring. So that's kind of our story. And one of the things I wanted to touch on is that small businesses like mine are typically not very good at training. So we've, you know, since our existence, we've been primarily in Burbank, and you know, we were able to draw upon a big aerospace population in the area, including Lockheed and all the sub-suppliers that provided parts to them. And there was an abundance of skilled labor. As they retired, and at the same time, our schools were encouraging all of our students to go to college, there was this big gap in skills. And so, you know, when I grew up going to school, I excelled at all of the shops. It's where I wanted to be. I look forward to it every day. And each one of those shops and the schools that I went to in both Valencia and up in Valencia and Burbank, they're all closed now. All the shops, the electrical shop, the auto shop, the wood shop, and the metal shop, they're gone. So there's very few left. And then, you know, at some point, we started to recognize the problem, and the community colleges seemed to pick up, you know, and try to pick up where the high schools had left off. By the way, there's still some high schools that are doing it, and we support them fully, by the way, and we really we want to see more of that. But that's the issue that we're dealing with, is that technology is becoming more complex. Expectations of our customers are rising. And in the middle of that, we have this lack of skill. We have to evolve and we have to change to be able to compete today. And we're seeing this unprecedented growth opportunities. Right now, I think somebody said it earlier, we have jobs to fill, but we have trouble finding people that are actually skilled to do it. So this has forced us, as a small manufacturer, to develop our own internal training programs. So hoping that we would advertise and the right person would come to the door like we used to, at some point we realized that's just not going to work anymore. They're not there. The highly skilled people that are doing great things for their employers are probably going to stay because they're being compensated well and taken care of. So once in a while, like maybe one every 6 months, you might get a highly skilled person with 25, 30 years of experience that you could hire, but you were competing with a whole bunch of other competitors that wanted that same employee. Our customers' designs have become far more complex, quality expectations more stringent, and the equipment that we use, it's become much more advanced. So, you know, we're not doing 3D or three-dimensional milling. Now we're into the 4- and 5-axis milling. It's much more complex. And engineers, because of the software they can use, are designing parts that are very challenging to produce. There's fun in that, and it's an exciting industry. So please don't let my slides cause you to lose hope. There's a lot of people that really eat this up and love what we're doing. I'm just telling you from my perspective the challenges we face. So a lot's changed. We give a lot of tours in our company to students, counselors, parents, educators, about what manufacturing looks like today. You know, you can eat off of our floors. I would encourage you to come or look at our YouTube videos that are on the web. They're not the same smoky, dark facilities that just were not a nice place to work. These are very nice environments, and most people wouldn't know it. They have a perception based on photos like these of what manufacturing is, and it is not. It's a highly technical, very clean, very organized, very process-based industry because of those expectations from our customers of perfection. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, in terms of the skills gap is, my grandfather, we came to Burbank because my grandfather worked for Lockheed for 40 years, and then my dad was a machinist in the Burbank area for over 50 years. And some interesting stories is that the first car that my dad purchased, the engine was in the trunk. So he and his friends literally in Burbank rolled the car up the street and then had to rebuild that car and put the engine in and build his car. My grandfather and my father, their high school project was not building a mission like I did with my parents or our son did. It was building a boat with an engine in it. I mean, they actually built a boat. These are not their pictures. I just pulled these off the internet. I wish I had those pictures, right? But they built things. People back then actually built boats in their garage, and they rebuilt cars in their driveway. And the new generation is just not doing that. So there's a big challenge right there, even without even considering education, is that you buy things. You go onto Amazon and you buy it, and it shows up the next day and it's done. And we don't assemble a whole lot of things and put things together. And that's a very big challenge that we face. So from the high school level to the community college level to trade school, as much as we can get people actually using their hands to build things, that would really help. Where do employees learn the trade today? So they're learning, like I said, there's some high school experience, but they're learning it in community colleges, trade schools like the NTMA, of course, on-the-job experience if they can come in and get a job at a place like ours. Company training programs, I put a frown there because what I see when I go out and visit other companies and I ask about their training programs is there's a pause and a hesitation. And there's usually we're trying, or we started one and it didn't last, so they're not sustainable. The good thing is that we're seeing is a lot of information on the internet through YouTube and Tooling U and things like that. There's a tremendous opportunity to learn for people, because you get those people that come into your company that just eat up manufacturing. You can tell from the moment you interview them that they're hooked and they want to build. Those people are still out there, and that's what we look for today, is less experience and more desire and passion to actually build something, because that's what we're doing. And I put Machinist Handbook because it's funny. It's back in the day, we were just at Glendale Community College yesterday speaking to a group of students, and they were talking about where you learn. And I was talking about how in my grandfather's and my father's generation, all machinists and operators everybody had a toolbox, which we don't even have in the shop today. There's no toolboxes in the shop. And in the middle of that Gershner toolbox, it was a wooden toolbox, there was a drawer that had your machinist handbook. And there wasn't the internet back then, right? So it's where a machinist learned everything they needed to know about the trade was in that book. I mean, my dad called it the Bible for manufacturing. And probably 90% of the people that come to work for us today have no idea what it even is. It's something you put on a coffee table and you talk about. So why do in-house training programs often fail to deliver? So my experience is that machinists and our skilled people in our industry are often not great trainers. And part of that falls on my responsibility, is that we haven't done a great job at training our trainers. So when I look to our training program today, it's very important to me that we partner with the community colleges or consultants that can help us be good at training the people that are going to do the training program in our company. We have a lack of training curriculums, but that's getting much better, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel there. The big one that you hear a lot is there's just no time, is that we're all so busy, we don't have time to train because we need to keep that machine running, and I don't know how I'm going to stop and pull people off the machine to develop them when we got to make parts. Their customer needs their parts next week. Typically, my experience is that training is an add-on responsibility to HR departments. What we've done in our company is we've actually broken out the workforce development and put it under its own coordinator. Daniel is sitting right up here in front. You can talk to him about our program today if you'd like. but we broke it out from HR because when we put it under HR, it was like one element of what they did, but they were always working on compliance, right? How do we protect the company from lawsuits? How do we onboard people? And how do we get them trained in things like safety and things like that, but not really the things they really need, which is how do you operate a machine, and how do I get to the next level and make more money and advance my career? And then employees often get stuck in manufacturing, especially in smaller manufacturing companies, if there's no place for them to advance to. So they're doing a good job, they're an operator of a CNC lathe, and they want to learn to go to 5-axis machining, or they want to become a programmer someday, but we're a small company, and we don't have that position open right now, so you're stuck. That can be an issue, and that can cause people to bounce and move on to a different job. So our goal, one of our reasons for wanting to grow the business as rapidly as we can, is we want to be able to have enough positions available for people to be able to aspire to and go through a career pathing opportunity and get to that next level. When I started at the company back in the 90s, we were at 9 people. You were pretty much stuck when you were in a job. That's what you were going to do. Today we have, you can go in a whole bunch of areas in the company, and we just brought a student in from one of our local community colleges who wants to be a machinist, but we didn't have that spot for him right now because we already had enough apprentices in the program and new hires that we're developing. So we brought him into inspection to get him into the company. So he's going to learn to be a really good inspector, and we'll see if he wants to stay there or he'll lateral over into become a machine operator and ultimately a machinist. So what's not working? Definitely what I see is that in manufacturing, our wages need to catch up. The entry-level wages is what I'm talking about. Actually, when I talk to counselors and when I talk to people interested in careers in manufacturing, when I talk to them about what the skilled people can make when they get to the advanced machinist or programmer or engineer phase, they make really good money. 6 figures is not unheard of. I think where we need to do some work is on the entry-level area. I mean, typically what I see is that in some cases, the operators coming in with no experience at all can probably make more money going to In-N-Out Burger, and that's a problem. Companies often can't develop their workforce, or they can't develop them fast enough. They don't have the training programs or the curriculums in place. Employees don't have the patience for the trade. That's the big one. So when we go to schools, we talk about, hey, you're not going to become an expert or a master at this career within the first 2 years. You're talking about 20 years, 30 years. When my dad retired from the industry after 50 years, in his speech that he gave to the company and to the people that were there, he said, even on the last day of working here, I was still learning. Even after 50 years, it's a complex industry with a lot of opportunity to learn. Career path not clear. So that's been one of the big things that we've developed and I'll show you a slide coming up here, trying to show, especially the younger generations, what they need to do, what's the next step. We didn't used to have to do that. It was maybe more clear to them, or the older generation didn't need to know that so much, but the new employees coming in, they want to know. What's the next step? How do I get there? What things do I need to master to do that? And then how much am I going to make? But really, it's about learning. So what is working? We have an abundance of work. At our company, we've had 15 years of tremendous growth. Right now, there's so much business that we're literally churning it away. So if I had skilled people, our issue with growing has nothing to do with buildings or machines or anything like that. It has everything to do with people. So for me to keep growing the company, it's all about being able to bring in people with a passion for our industry, people that care about it, and then develop them as quickly as I can so we can take on these challenging jobs. Young people are interested in manufacturing again. They're hearing that there's jobs there. Schools seem to be talking about it. Not everybody's thinking that they have to go to college anymore. They're looking at trade schools, at the community college programs, and there's jobs. So that's good. The future is, for us, we hired a workforce development coordinator and invested in saying that this is so important to us that we're going to make this a full-time position for our company, and there's going to be a focus for one person in the organization. Daniel is responsible for engaging with educators, community colleges, working with them, teaching. We go into classrooms, bring parts, we talk about careers, we talk about how to get careers. By doing that, of course, we're exposing our company to a lot of applicants. And then, of course, when they come in, the orientation, the onboarding, the career pathing, and then the development of that employee to get them to the next level. We did put in an apprenticeship program. We've been working with groups like SWAG. That's been excellent for us. We are relatively new in the apprenticeship area, but we're excited about it, and we have people in the program now. We've engaged with schools. We have an exposure on social media and a big following. We post on Facebook and Instagram daily, and that's just to get the word out about manufacturing and what are we building, and these are nice environments, and we're making cool things, and just trying to get people to understand that it's not what people assume that it is or what they thought it was. And then, of course, doing the better onboarding and orientation. So, we talk about manufacturing, and we often think about someone standing behind a CNC machine, but in our organization, when I bring in students we get tours from Valley College, Pierce College, Glendale College, College of the Canyons. Those are kind of the colleges that are around us that we partner with. And we invite the teachers to bring students in, and we talk. And you can see the people that are really passionate about making things, and then there's others that ask, well, what else can I do in this company? And of course, there's areas in this particular case. One of the highly skilled areas in our company is deburring parts, and these are real craftsmen that have to have great eye-hand coordination, and they're looking under microscopes and they're going down in bores, and they're basically making our parts perfect for our customers, because the machine can only do so much. It's quite a skill, and there's a lot of learning involved. And of course, assemblers. It used to be that our company, we just made parts, and then our customers put those parts together and then installed them into a system. Today, companies like ours are being asked more frequently to actually build multiple parts or procure parts from other sources and then put them all together. So we do that a lot, so there's jobs there. And then, of course, laser marking and inspection is a really sought-after skill. They're highly compensated. They're very skilled. A lot of knowledge involved. When I talk to educators, I talk about the fact that most manufacturing programs focus on cutting parts, and few seem to focus much on actual inspection of parts, and that's really critical to us, because as machines and technology become more advanced, our machinists and our operators are actually becoming more inspectors than they are machinists, because the machine is doing all the work for them. So they're becoming programmers, they're becoming robot programmers, CNC programmers, and they're becoming high-end inspectors. So that's a really critical skill for us. And then, this is the result of, a part that's reached the finish line. It's gone through its dimensional checks, being visually inspected for any abnormalities or issues, and it's about ready to ship out the door. So this is one of our recent developments. So this is what we're doing with new applicants and new people entering the company, is to show them how to go from the brand new employee walking in the door start in the lower part of the screen and go up into pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, become a machine operator, ultimately a machinist, and then a master. Someone that can actually train other people and develop others. And so this is what we're doing. We have multiple slides that we could show you if you came on a tour, but this is what we're doing to try to show them a visual of what it takes. And then, of course, there's curriculums under each one of those positions for what skills you have to learn and pass before you can move on to the next level. So this is about advancement, this is about opportunities, this is about making more money, but it's really putting that in front of them. And that's what I wanted to leave you with today, is that this is the investment that we're making to meet the challenge. We have a long way to go, but because of our investment in having a full-time person dedicated to this, we're farther than we've been in a long time, and believe me, I've had a lot of start and stop and failures of my internal training program. What I see in manufacturing companies is that we tend to focus our training in the past on things that we could send someone out. You're going to go get Excel training, and we're going to send you to management training. We're going to send you to communication training. So it was all of our indirect labor that was getting all the training in the company, safety training and all these things. And where we were really missing the boat is where our money's made, on the shop floor, right? And we were leaving that to machinists to train the workforce coming in, and again, we didn't train them. So shame on us. We're trying to catch up at this point, but I think even with, it didn't take a lot of work not putting Daniel down, but it didn't take us it didn't take us long to go from 0 in manufacturing to where we are today. And so I'm really happy that I got invited here to tell you what we're doing. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for those presentations. We do have a few questions here from the audience, so we'll slide through them here. Do you have to be located in the South Bay to take advantage of workforce training opportunities? So no, you don't need to be in the South Bay. I did talk about a few South Bay examples because some of those are recent programs that are getting off the ground or having some good success. Certainly there are state, federal, and local funds out there to support what your needs are. So my contact information, I think, is in your booklet. So if you want to know if there's something already going on in your area or you want to get access to something in your area, please contact me and I'll make sure that you're either supported through me or through someone local in your area. Okay. Here's another question. So I would think this is a question for you, Linda. So with the labor market mismatch, could the California Master Plan for Higher Education be amended to explicitly mandate community colleges to formally establish a pipeline and close the skills gap? And maybe you can answer that question also and mention how the Strong Workforce initiative is impacting that as well.
Yes. Everything always takes money, and that's how the ROP, remember those ROP programs that used to be at the college level where they do all the free trades and industry. So those sunsetted just before the recession, and what's come back is what's called Strong Workforce Funds. It is only for credit programs. It is not for extended studies. So if anybody has an extended study program that has a lot of work skills, they don't get a dime. That would be me. And it's bogged down, just like every college does. So some are better at it and some are not so great. And it's bogged down with a lot of performance metrics that haven't been there before. So colleges are having to say how many people they get placed and what percentages and how successful they are. And you know what? Colleges are terrible at doing that. Maybe not his small college, but...
No, they're bad at doing it.
They're very bad at doing that. Unless you have a large grant where you have to do it, they're bad at it. So once again, they've got all this money coming in because there's an understanding that there's money needed to start these programs and get them kick-started again. But it's a struggle. So, but have hope. At least it's moving in the right direction. And then there's mavericks like me who just like circumvent all that and just start.
Great, thank you. So this would be a question for David. What do you consider a good entry-level wage?
I would say that what we're trying to get to as an industry and talking to peers and other shops like mine is around the $15 to $16 an hour wage starting. And of course there's factors. You know, we would pay someone more that has gone through a program at a community college, either certificate or something. And of course, even some relevant job experience in the industry would be great. So yeah, $15 to $16 an hour would be that starting point.
Okay, great.
Good, with a good emphasis on that, yes.
Great, great. Okay, so this is a question for me. What would be the benefit to a person with an engineering degree to participate in an apprenticeship program versus hiring on directly to an employer? And that's an excellent question, and one that we get, you know, fairly regularly, because this is definitely a new area for apprenticeship. It is innovative to have an apprenticeship program for a degreed occupation. So there's, you know, depending on where you're coming in that pipeline, it could be more beneficial than maybe for someone who's already has a degree and has a job offer. But what it does really is it allows the employer to train you, you know, in their own model, if you will. So they're really taking an extra interest in you. They're investing additionally in you and your skills development and hopefully in your long-term commitment to that organization. So it does add another national credential to your resume. If it's dual registered in a state such as California or Florida, you'll have potentially 2 additional credentials to add to your resume. Yes, you already have that engineering degree, but now you've gone through a program that's definitively designed by that employer to increase your skills and awareness of what they're looking for in their engineers. Okay, this is really a question for Joel and Linda. Do the training programs at Mira, Costa and Goodwill work with other businesses that offer specialized training? And I'm going to maybe add to that, potentially we're getting that question because a lot of our focus in this discussion is manufacturing. So I'm assuming the question is maybe asking about maybe non-manufacturing businesses, but other types of industries that would need specialized training. Are you serving other industries?
I'll take that first. So
Okay.
I know I highlighted and talked about aircraft fabrication in specific Northrop, but what we have found is with regards to that training, that's kind of the top of the food chain, and we have individuals that go through the training program. Not everyone gets picked up by Northrop, nor should they. They maybe aren't prepared or ready for that level yet. But there's a lot of other partnerships that we have with other businesses that have come in and they're hiring off of that. And we've created sub-programs that have peeled off of this program. There's a new electrical systems program that we've created where individuals come in and we test them and they have an aptitude in the electrical sciences. And so we shift them that way. And we've had individuals that have come through and we've tested out and their aptitude is in welding. And so this program has branched out into 15 different sub-programs all across the county. So it's not just up in Antelope Valley. We have training partners and programs all throughout LA County that we're working with to provide employment opportunities. So again, the template was initially the program and the process that we developed, but that template's now being replicated. And we've actually used it, I know this is manufacturing, we've actually used it in medical. The same process and program has proven effective in multiple sectors.
Great, thank you. This is a question for David. Can a machine shop really afford to provide high wages with the typical workload and margins in aerospace and defense?
So my answer to that would be yes, but you got to be working for the right company. You know, even as I told you earlier with the abundance of work in manufacturing, I still continue to see regular auction notices of companies that are not innovating and optimizing their companies. So I'm working in a highly competitive atmosphere where most of my pricing is locked in on 5 to 10 year contracts, and my prices are either firm and fixed or even declining over the course of that. So that puts the ownership on me and my team that we have to find ways of improving our organization, our processes, in order to be able to, you know, to lean things out and make them less expensive, make them quicker, so that we can then, of course, you know, make more money and be able to pay our employees a good wage. So my answer is yes, and the companies that are not continually improving and making their business better, for them it's a no. So when I talk to students, just the students I was talking to yesterday, I was talking to them about where they should go, what kind of company should they partner with, and you know, there's an abundance of small businesses like ours out there, and some of them get it and some of them don't, and so we're seeing the shrinking of the small businesses. So in some cases, it literally is about size, because it allows us to put in the systems and the processes and have the management team. Have someone like Daniel, have a continuous improvement person on staff that is their full-time job is to figure out how to make the company better.
The next question now, Julianna, can you tell us more about the South Bay Web Accelerator program mentioned on your slide? Sure, I can talk a little bit more about that. And so that is a program that's in partnership with the Small Manufacturers Association and the Small Manufacturers Institute. And the goal of that program is to sit down with business owners and their top leadership team and kind of workshop where they're at with, you know, their leadership style. Is their leadership style in alignment with the size of their business today? Are they thinking about their business in the right way? It really gives creates that white space time. We think about the difference in a different way, and to identify what the top issues are, and maybe the leadership team identifies different issues, and so that's an eye-opener to understand. So they prioritize what their top issues are that are maybe keeping them from growth, or keeping them from hiring, or keeping them from winning that big contract that they're looking for. And so the idea is to help them accelerate through those issues by bringing in resources for whatever it might be. It might be a workforce development issue, it might be a capital needs issue, it might be a succession planning issue. There's obviously a variety of factors at play in why a small business is maybe stagnant and not growing. So that's what that accelerator program is really trying to do there. The next question, do you have any difficulty finding trainers to teach your programs? So Linda, when you are delivering programs both within your technical training center and on site with employers, how are you delivering that, and who are the trainers that you use, and how do you find them?
Well, luckily, I'm able to get trainers that don't have to have exactly the criteria that the college requires, where it's master's degree or higher. I like people from industry, but they are not necessarily great teachers, so I do have to give them a little bit of an audition and often help them along the way. But depends on what field, whether or not I have trouble. But the heavens open up and the trumpets blow, and I find the right instructor. So yeah, they're not easy to come by. It's hard.
Can I actually tackle that one too? So I work hand in hand with the colleges that we work with on this too, because when the programs first started, it was difficult finding, because it's not hard to necessarily find individuals with the skill. It's very difficult to find teachers, and that's a different skill set. But what I will say is, what we've kind of morphed into is the employment partners that we have are actually the ones providing the trainers, and that actually provides for a more robust partnership between the educational partners and employment. What I mean by that is, so in the case of the aircraft fabrication program, Northrop, Lockheed, General Atomics, Scaled Composites, all the different subcontractors are all part of that applicant pool for teachers, and they're the ones that are supplying the teachers to come out and teach the content. And the beauty of that is, and in many cases, the employer is actually paying them to come teach. It's actually part of what their assignment is. They're taking senior staff and putting them out there to grow their next crop of students. And it's a working interview for 18 to 16 weeks when they're out there working with them. And it's been the employer's committed because they're making a financial commitment, which means they want to be able to reap the reward by hiring these students. Mm-hmm. So it really solidifies the process. So to answer the question, long-winded, yeah, it was difficult at first, but I think once we got the employer buy-in, we haven't had a problem anymore.
Good. I know one of the things that I suggest to some of my employers sometimes, if they're worried about that, or if they have a large group of people getting ready to retire, is I suggest that they add to their exit interview process if those industry experts that are leaving are willing to come back maybe as an adjunct trainer at the local community college, and to partner with the college to create a really simple adjunct trainer process to keep them engaged in industry, and teach a little bit in their retirement. So we do try to work on that as well. So question, David, you obviously have talked about the tours that you give, so I'm assuming, but do you participate in Manufacturing Day, and if so, what kinds of things do you do on that day?
So we haven't participated in Manufacturing Day yet. I don't actually know why. Probably just being hit with too many things. So we should probably get some information about it. We would be happy to participate in it. We do often give tours of our shop. We encourage students to come. So yeah, we're very open to tours. We also have quite a few videos on YouTube about our company. We did an interview. It's amazing what's available on the internet. We did a video with New York CNC, came in and did a 45-minute tour of our company, and I think we're at like 300,000 hits of views since that video was taken. So it's amazing where the students are flocking to.
Very cool, very cool.
But yeah, we would love to get information about it.
Okay, great. So the question is, each of us have spoken about talent pipelines and the things that we do. Have we met prior to today to take the opportunity to share ideas, successes, and struggles? So have we met each other before today? I would say no. But our organizations have all worked together. I've worked with Daniel at SNH directly. We partner with Goodwill on some of their swag things and through Aeroflex. So our organizations and the college and the WIBs, and we're all partnering on different types of projects at different times. So some of us might be together in a grant, in a DOL grant, or in an ETP grant or something like that. So our organizations definitely do communicate, and we are on councils together, Goodwill and Aeroflex. We are on each other's apprenticeship committees, so we're definitely talking quite a bit about what's going on. Has anyone tried putting a specialized training as a line item charge to pass costs up supply chain and transparently communicate the need and our gap?
Yes.
Yes, go
Yes.
ahead.
Unsuccessfully. But what I would say on that is, with the success of a lot of these programs that are going on, it's raising an awareness and creating a more, I guess, flexibility and awareness to that point, to create opportunities like that. So I think in the near future, the time is right where we're going to start to see opportunities for that to actually take effect.
So thank you for your presentations. I was listening to that. And so Joel, and I'm familiar with the program out at Antelope Valley College, and I'm thrilled to see it still thriving and growing. And I remember when I last checked in with Northrop Grumman on that, there was a waiting list for the program, and there's one homeless person being served, and now I notice you have 19 or so homeless people served. So you're saying you have no trouble with the pipeline. So other than the high schools and the colleges around you, where's that pipeline coming from? How does a homeless person find out about this program?
What's really interesting about the pipeline stretches multi-state now. We've had individuals from the East Coast actually contact us because they have family members in the local area that have gone through it that want to come. So the word of mouth outreach has just been phenomenal. As far as some of the local populations and some of the diverse populations that are around us, it's by partnering with the local workforce entities. So Department of Rehabilitation, Veteran Services. As it's become more successful, we have looped and put that circle out further. And so we're able to contact some of those more difficult populations and diverse populations that historically wouldn't have access to something like this. But the key is, again, it's the employers. If that carrot wasn't there, there wouldn't be an interest. The pay is excellent, the benefits are excellent. Again, it flies in the face of the program though. It is so rigid. They are literally in class 50 to 60 hours a week, not counting homework that they're doing. When we joke with the females, when they go through the class, they're gonna grow beards just like the guys do because of the stress that's going on. They're gonna lose their hair and look like me. I mean, it's tough, but they do it because they know at the end the carrot is strong and they're gonna be able to take care of their family, and it's proven. And they've seen it because their mom, their dad, their aunt, their uncle, whoever goes through it. So to tie it back into what you said though, it's because we're reaching out further, and we have to, honestly, because the applicant pool, in order to maintain the level that we have to reach out to those partners to still find quality.
Okay, great, thank you. My last thing that I would just say is, and really to SNH and to the other employers out here, is if you're going out, Daniel, to high schools and you're really out there trying to talk to it, I don't know if you're starting to use yet at all the Aerospace 101, the overview course that the Aeroflex team, the employer feedback was that they were really missing a class out there to help, especially the younger people, understand the industry as a whole, the career paths that are available, the products that you build, and how that can lead to really a lifelong career. And so that course was developed in partnership with Tooling USME. It is developed with public funds, so it's available publicly. You can download it, anyone can take it, and high schools can use it. You can use it in your new hire orientation. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. And my contact information is in there. There's a link to that course on my website, Tooling U's, the South Bay WIBs. But Daniel, is that something that you guys think would be helpful maybe in your orientations or in your recruitment, or when you're out talking to high schools?
Yeah, so I've actually added that into my high school presentations. I haven't had the opportunity to actually go and do it yet, but that Aerospace 101 class is in there. And in fact, in our orientations, it would be a great thing to add to SNH.
Great, thank you. All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to our workforce panel.
Thank you.